I came first of all because I see the worth in this. I've been a builder for 20 years and I know that the way that I know how to build is not necessarily in line with how we should be building in the future.
I grew up on a farm between Glasgow and Edinburgh, so like right in the centre of Scotland, in a place where it's generally through my whole childhood was a pretty standard, pretty safe, like no wild weather, just your traditional seasons like your spring, summer, autumn, winter. And now there's massive amounts of flooding. Like obviously Scotland's a stormy place and it's a rainy place, we know that, but it's so different already compared to childhood. You can feel the raise in the water table.
I've always been like involved in climate activism and things before I got into construction. I have less time for it now, but it would be nice if I was able to do something that was both construction related and also good for the environment. Because a lot of construction work is incredibly bad for the environment and you see a lot of waste. And then it also just seems like a good opportunity generally, in terms of there's bound to be a lot of work going in retrofitting over the next decade at least.
When we were at high school, we knew that global warming was a thing and we knew that we had to do something about it, but it was like this distant issue that they would get round to, the government would deal with eventually. And now we're here and we're at the tipping point. You know, if change doesn't come in a very short number of years, we can't fix it.
It's slime based. It's going to be very mouldy. It's not going to go mouldy, as you see. It's more environmental than using gypsum.
We are creating our internal wall insulation system, which is sort of designed to improve standards. Essentially it works with the building rather than against it and doesn't trap moisture inside the property. So it's a longer process and a much slower process.
This is sisal wool, friction fitted, fully natural insulation. It's made out of a plant grown in Tanzania, I believe. But the best thing about it is there's no waste. It's raw product. So every speck of waste now, like this here, will go back to be raw product and used again. Traditional methods throw away quite a lot of plasterboard, PIR, massive waste. You know, you're talking over 20%, and that's going to go in landfill.
Although you talk about retrofit, you can do retrofit with unsustainable materials. The lobbying that is on the side of these huge corporations who are producing very cheap but unsustainable materials is kind of throwing a spanner in the works, because if those materials aren't made sustainably, it's still going to cause the end of the planet. It's the way it's going to go.
Wood fibre, vapour open, and the carbon's far lower and not toxic.
It doesn't kill you if it sets on fire.
We have to have the next wave of people coming in with the relevant qualifications, with the relevant understanding of how to do retrofit and how to be more energy efficient in their building technique. We're all saying that there isn't enough people being directed into trades, and personally in the college I feel like the people who are being directed are not necessarily the right people. I think that we're all on the same page and we don't really have a voice. We don't have anywhere to voice this issue. That's a major problem.
There's this idea that there's an infinite amount of materials. You know, you buy a box of 1,000 screws, one screw down the back of the wall. Does that really matter? When I left school, I did end up doing an apprenticeship in joinery for 2.5 years, and I left that because I was like picking screws and nails out the dust piles, and my tradesman was like, "What are you doing, mate? You know, we don't have time to do that." So for a £10,000 project, For example, insulating your walls, you can get £7,500 funding from the government. That's fantastic. The problem is they don't have the tradespeople to do that, because the tradespeople need specific certification to be able to get that funding. That's a big problem in and of itself. We don't have a PAS 2030 yet. No. We're trying to get that certification so that we can do this.
No, it costs £5,000 a year annually, I think. So it's quite difficult for a smaller company to look at that and say that's an instant win.
We want everybody in our company to be able to install each measure that we do. So underfloor, loft, room and roof insulation and internal wall insulation. So for us to train one new installer, it might cost us 3,000 or 4,000 to get them the right certificates.
But it is really great that an organisation like Local Homes is getting funded by the government to do this fantastic work. Majority of tradesmen come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. Why would they be looking to fork out money to learn how to do something sustainably when they've got to worry about the bills to pay, children to feed, van to run? But more can be done, and more should be done, really.